It is Leah Ray with Digital Trailblazer. Super excited to talk with you tonight. Let's talk lead generation. If you are not making enough sales in your business, chances are it's because you're not reaching enough people. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. How do you actually reach enough people? How do you generate leads all the time? Because if you're not generating leads every single day, that's not a good thing. Then you're not able to keep your pipeline full. Now, we've talked about paid ads many, many times on our different platforms, and a huge fan of paid ads, 100%. However, there are some really good free strategies that I think you should do in addition to paid ads, and or before you're ready for paid ads. So that's what we're going to lay out for you today is how do you actually start generating leads for free? And this strategy, I'm going to teach you. I've made a lot of money with this strategy. It works really, really well. And sorry, I have a new setup. I have a new office. So if you're watching this week and you're like, her lighting's not quite right. Yeah, I got to mess with my lighting a bit further. And I have to set up a cool backdrop yet. So bear with me. Hey, Kia, welcome, David, Melinda. Okay, as you guys jump on, let me know that you are here, that you're excited, that you have that you're actually interested in lead gen. And also, what have you tried to generate leads so far? Because that's a really good discussion, really good conversation. So I know where to hone this in. But I'll tell you the strategy that I'm going to focus on and 5 different ways to do this. Okay, so 5 different ways to generate more leads organically without paid strategies. All right, so that's what we're digging into today. Hey, Esther D, welcome. Okay. Yes. Delete these. Anybody know how to turn off the stars thing on Facebook? I'll give you $5. I hate the stars thing. It just keeps sticking there and I don't know how to get rid of it. But no, I've got better stuff than that tonight. Oh, I'm super excited. You're going to love it. Okay. I got goodies today. Okay. So the main strategy, from Spain. That's really cool. I like that, from Spain. I've never been to Europe yet, but it's on my list someday. Okay. I'm sorry, my webcam is all foggy. Okay. All right. So let's dive in. What is the main strategy that we're going to be talking about today is how to borrow other people's audiences. The thing that takes the longest in all of this building, offering, selling your stuff is building an audience. It just simply takes time. Hey, Rick, welcome. And so how do you speed this process up? How do you get in front of the right people? One of the fastest ways to do this, to jump ahead many, many steps, is to borrow someone else's audience. So I'm going to show you 5 ways tonight to get in front of other people's audiences, people who serve the same audience that you're looking to serve, but they do it in a different way. So you're not direct competitors, but maybe you complement each other. So it's okay for you guys to work together. So I'm going to show you how to do this 5 different free lead gen strategies. And if at any time tonight, if you're like, this sounds cool, but I need help with everything, not just this. Well, guess what? That's what we do. So comment info in the chat, in the comment, and we'll chat and see how we can help you out. If you're LinkedIn or YouTube, the description of the videos have all the links for stuff. So grab that. Okay. All right. Let's jump in. Okay. First, funnels. Looking forward to this chat. Yay. Okay. So funnels is not actually something I'm giving away today. I don't even know. See, that's like my old stuff flows in here for some. I don't even know how that happens, Kevin. Sorry. I don't know how that happens. Facebook has got some old data. It keeps pulling forward. But today we're talking about how to generate leads for free. So I'm on my phone now. And so the pinned comment isn't working like it should. Yeah. I'm just going to delete the pinned comment. See if it'll let me give a different one. Yeah, it's not doing its thing. I'm on my phone for the group, and I'm taking notes of here. Okay, good. Okay, so how do you get in front of people's audiences? 5 different ways. Let's start with the first one. And I love this. You've heard me talk about it. If you've watched a bunch, you may have heard of it before, but this is summits. I love being in someone else's summit because that means they have to do all the work. I just have to show up and then I make sales. I'm actually in a summit this week. I'm in a summit generally a couple times a month. Okay. And I don't go at this point in the game, I don't go looking for them. They find me. They find me through the group. They find me through our website or our YouTube channel or something that we've put out online or from another summit that they've participated in. So people are seeing me online. They like my message. They like how I help people, and they reach out to me and ask me to be on their summit. What is a summit? Well, a summit is where an individual or company hosts a summit where they pull in speakers that can serve their audience. And they might be 5 speakers, it could be 20 speakers. I think the biggest one I was in was like 50, 30 speakers, maybe. So they can be very, very big and they can be small. It's fine. The deal is, though, there's usually a requirement for the speakers. So the speakers need to have a certain list size or audience size to become regular speakers. So like our list size is very, very significant. So I get in these all the time for free because I have a list. If you don't have a list yet, which we're assuming because that's why you're trying to generate leads for free, there are still ways to do this. But these summits will typically say, well, you need to have a list of 5,000 or 10,000 or 3,000 to be a speaker, a free speaker in the summit. Because the idea is all of the speakers in the summit will be promoting on social media and to their email lists about the summit so that the person who organizes the summit gets leads from everyone's lists. Okay. So summits are great. They're a lot of work to organize. So that's why I prefer to be a speaker. Now, you don't have to have a massive list to be a speaker on a summit. You simply have to talk to the speaker, the summit person, and oftentimes they will let in people as bonus speakers. So they're not the main people like I would be, but they're bonus speakers. And maybe they paid $100, $200, $300 to be a bonus speaker. But when you are a speaker, it's wonderful because you generate leads. So what that looks like, I do an interview for, say, if some who here is signed up for Katie's Summit that I'm doing this week. I promoted it. I know there's people in the group who came from Katie's Summit because I let you all in earlier today. So Katie is doing a summit this week. It's like the Prosperity Breakthrough Summit or something. And she interviewed me for that summit. I did an interview. I gave really good value to her audience, to everyone on the summit. And as a speaker, I was able to give a freebie, a lead magnet, right? So it was something very valuable that would speak to my target audience, people who'd actually potentially be interested in our paid stuff later. But I gave away a freebie for them. And so I'm generating leads. They ought to opt in on the lead magnet, on the freebie. And then they get on my email list. They get in my text messages and stuff. They get in my Facebook group. They follow my sales funnel and they just joined from someone else's summit. So how many times do you think I've actually closed high ticket sales from leads that were generated from a summit? Many, many, many times. That's why it's worth my effort to do summits, to do a 30-minute interview and to promote, send out some emails and social media posts for them. Because a well-done summit can bring in a lot of sales. So I love it. So it's great when you have an audience, like a list, so you can do it for free. But even if you can't qualify to do it for free, if you are friends with the person, they may let you in and you might be able to do, $100 or something to get into their summit as a bonus speaker. Okay. I highly suggest it because you can get a flood of leads in 1 week. So this week, I don't know how many leads I generated today just from the summit, but it was a decent number. Okay. So summits are a great way to get in front of other people's audiences, right? Now, what is another way? I said there was 5. That was 1. So we got 4 more ways to get in front of other people's audiences. And I think the other 4 are actually probably going to be more easy to do for just getting started, but let's dive in. Okay. So another awesome way to get leads, to generate leads from other people's audiences, very similar to a summit, but it's getting in front of other people's podcast audience. So instead of a summit where there's like 5, 10, 20 people who are promoting this thing, people have podcasts where they do weekly, twice a week, a couple times a month or whatever. They have episodes that they release where they interview experts in a certain area or field. Well, these podcasts should be building up an audience of listeners, people who are interested in what they have to say and follow and are interested in the topic. That's fabulous. You can go into those podcasts and speak on their stage, get in front of their audiences. When you do this, it can be awesome because if that podcast has a good, I say viewership, but that's not the right words, but a good audience size, right? If there's a lot of people that watch that or listen to that podcast and they're your target audience, now you just introduced yourself to a bunch more people. And if the guest allows you and I always throw it in there. And I do a lot of these, I'm on a lot of people's podcasts. I've got a freebie. If you go to, and I'll give them a web address, right? Something easy to type out, not something that they have to click, something easy to type out, because then you're verbally telling them a website to go to get a freebie. Guess what that freebie is? A lead magnet, like we already talked about. So you definitely still need your systems. Whether you're doing free strategies or paid strategies, you still need the core systems, lead generation, nurturing, sales systems in order to actually make sales, to generate leads and make sales. But getting the traffic to them is, you can do this for free, and you can do this with podcast guesting. D Treadwell, yes, love guesting. Good. I'm starting to set minimums I'm willing to share on to help with audience building. Yes. So this is really important. And I'm glad and this is on my list to bring up. So I'm glad you threw this out there. Hey, Lorena, welcome. So being on any old podcast depends. Okay. Here's the criteria. If it's going to take my time away from other income producing activities in my business, I need to make sure they actually have an audience to get in front of. If they don't have anybody listening to their podcast, probably not worth my time, right? Because remember, I want to get in front of their audience. Okay. If they don't have an audience, it's not going to be worth my time. However, unless caveat, all right, if you are new and you're still working out the kinks of how to talk on stage, if you will, working out your messaging, then maybe it's good practice. Okay. So if you're at the very beginning of your journey, maybe it still makes sense for you to be a guest on someone's podcast where they don't have an audience, just for the practice. That's okay. Another benefit, or this is kind of funny. You guys will love this. Okay. So I have actually been on people's podcasts who end up being my target audience for what I do, for what I sell. And I've actually booked sales calls with the people whose podcast it is. Like they've gone onto sales calls with me because they were introduced to me because I was on their podcast. So there is that. So if you are on somebody's podcast and they might be your target audience themselves, even if they don't have an audience, maybe it's worth making that connection, right? So there is that benefit. Same. Hello, LD. That's awesome. Okay. Facebook user. I'm in that mode right now, reaching out to podcasts so that I may speak on my topics with podcasters who are doing their shows for my target audience. Yes. So what are the criteria? Make sure, ask them. If someone is inviting you on their podcast or they're advertising an opportunity to be on their podcast and you don't need the practice, like you really just need the audience, ask them what their reach is. Like how many listeners do you have per episode, or how many downloads per episode, I think they say. Get that information, because if they don't have that, they're like, well, I'm just getting started. Well, are you going to promote it to your email list or to your social media? Well, I don't really have that. Okay, then it's totally not worth it. Now, here's my giveaway, guys. You're going to love it. Okay. if someone is just launching a new podcast, but they have massive audience. So, for example, Todd and me, Digital Trailblazer, we have almost 200,000 subscribers and followers on all the different platforms in our email list. 200,000 people reached when we promote something. That's a lot of people. So even if we're launching a brand new podcast, if it fits your target audience, or if you think there's going to be some overlap, that there'll be some people in that audience that fit for who you serve, could definitely be worth your time. So here's today's offer, my freebie, my little giveaway. Every week I give you guys something cool. That's this week. So announcing the new Digital Trailblazer podcast. We will be launching officially within the next month, but we're working on queuing up several podcasts so we can launch with a handful already ready to go. Okay. So if you want to get in front of our audience of almost 200,000 people, then type in guest into the chat. Guest, Guest. Spelling on under pressure is not my forte. Guest. Type in guest into the comments. Okay. Because what we're going to do is we're taking, like this week, I had several calls today already. I've got many more booked up for the rest of the week because I emailed my list about this. But what we're doing is we're doing little screening calls to see if you'd be a good fit for our podcast. And then we're booking podcast guests from our current audience. Now we're queuing all this up because we're going to launch. We don't have the official launch date because we're going to get these at least minimum of three interviews ready to go first. Okay. But then once they're ready to go, OMG. Yes. Yes. Once they're ready to go, then what we're going to do is actually, sorry, Dee's distracting me. She's too good. I'm just kidding. So when we have at least 3 podcasts that we're going to actually launch, and we're going to promote this to our email list, to our Facebook group, to our Twitter page, our LinkedIn page, our Instagram page, like all of these different places that we have followings, we're going to promote that interview. So you have an opportunity to get in front of our audience. So Rick, there is a link in the description on LinkedIn. You can just fill out the application right now. YouTube, if you're watching live on YouTube, fill out the application. There's a link directly there. For everybody on Facebook, you got to comment and I'll send it to you in Messenger. So send me a friend request if we are not yet friends so that I can get you this application. Thank you, Tristan. I appreciate that. You guys are the golden standard. Thank you. Guest. Awesome. Okay. So that's what we're doing. So podcasting is powerful. And that is why we are doing this, because building that audience. Sorry, you see me keep grabbing stuff. I shed a lot. And apparently there's like a hair stuck on my shirt that keeps tickling my arm as I'm talking to you with my hands. So I'm not don't have weird fleas or something. I just shed significantly. The girls in here understand. Okay, I love it. What do you guys recommend? Podcast guesting. So this podcast guesting really makes sense. Again, make sure that they have an audience that you're going to get in front of. Make sure that there's overlap. It doesn't have to be a 1-for-1. So for example, our audience are coaches, course creators, people who are building their online business, right? So if they have that exact audience, fabulous. But if they just overlap with that audience, it could still be with it. So I have been selected for interviews where it's just about your entrepreneurial journey, right? Where it's just it's just motivation based. It's not strategy, which is, hey, Sean, Atlanta, Georgia. It's about their entrepreneurial journey. It's about mindset or family life balance. It doesn't highlight my topic of marketing and sales strategies. But the target audience is going to overlap with the type of people that may want to work with me. It's like that Venn diagram, right? As long as there's overlap and they have an audience, I'm going to get in front of them. So yes. So 100% make sure that they have an audience, that there's overlap with your target audience, and that's someone you want to work with. Now, I love when they have, so what we're doing is this little introduction call first to make sure that we are going to work, like that it's a good fit for our podcast. So it's just application and then we talk. Because as someone who's done a lot of podcast guesting, I don't like to be just booked to a interview, like an hour-long interview or a 45-minute or a half-hour interview, and I've never talked to the person before, and I have no idea, like, are they, can we talk? Like, I've honestly, there's some people that like are not very good at this yet, and I don't really want to have to sit and pretend to talk to them for 30 minutes because they have no chemistry. So I like to have those little intro meetings first to make sure that it's actually going to be a good interview, right? And that we have some connecting, right? Hey, Dawn, good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. So yeah, so I'll always do those little connection ones first and then get on the podcast. So that's number 2. So again, type in guest if you want to apply for a spot on our podcast. I highly suggest it. As we launch it, we're going to promote it everywhere. And we've got quite the following. So good. So yes, if you're on YouTube, Sean, there's a link to apply. So you can apply directly on YouTube. You don't have to type in anything to get it. Okay. So that's number 2. Okay. Of borrowing other people's audiences. The next, JV webinars. Okay. And a lot of this comes down to networking. It is when you connect with someone, it's not just about selling to them. It's actually about networking with them, because there's people in this space who have an audience that you can just become friends with and they'll promote you to their audience. So I mentioned this. If you didn't see last week's training, I did a great training on like if I had to start over from scratch tomorrow and get to 6 figures as quickly as possible. One of the things I mentioned is that I would leverage relationships. I would reach out to all of my friends that I've made in this industry that complement what I do. Don't compete, but complement. And I'd be like, dude, can I do a JV launch? Right? I would do a webinar with them. And so what does this mean? This means I do a sales webinar where I give value and I sell. If it's high ticket, you sell a sales call. If it's low ticket, you can just sell the offer, like $497 or something. You just directly sell that on the webinar. But for the person, so you're not bringing your list, and so you couldn't like just swap, which is an option if you have if you have equal size lists, you could just swap. But a cleaner way to do this, a better way, is to offer them an affiliate commission, so that they get 50% of all of the sales that come from that webinar. Which you might be like, 50%. You wouldn't make any of those sales if they didn't give you the people to sell it to. So give them 50%. Okay. So doing a JV webinar is great. Okay. It's a great strategy. We have actually done all kinds of sales. We've made a lot of money over the years on JV webinars. Okay. And if we have a friend, and we only do this for friends. I don't do this for someone that I don't know is a good person, who I don't know what their training or programs like. I don't do this for other people. But if they're a friend of mine, if I know they're a good person, if I know that their content, if their programs are good, then I would do a JV launch with them. As long as it fits for our target audience, it doesn't compete directly with what we do. Absolutely. Sure. I'll find an open spot in my promotion calendar. We'll book a time. And I'll promote and get them some people onto a webinar. And then they take over, they sell. Right? Yeah, very checking about for that. Good, Sean. Okay. So business built on us. Yes. Creating and fostering connections, so important. So important. So those JV webinars are a great strategy. So network with people, make connections. It's very valuable. On top of doing JV webinars, number 3, sorry, I'm pulling up my notes here. Okay, number 3 are groups. So let's say you're not quite at that level yet. You're like, I don't know how to do a sales webinar. I've never done one that converts. I don't know how to do this. Or how do you set up an affiliate thing? I don't even know how to do that. It's okay. Okay. If we want to go a simpler version of that, which would be option number, is it 3 or 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4. Option number 4 is doing another joint venture, but just a more casual one where they promote you in their Facebook group, or they promote you on YouTube, or they promote you on Instagram. You can do this together. Like you can swap if you're at equal levels, right? Or if you've made a good relationship, or you could do it where they're going to get a cut of the commission of the amount of sales. So if you don't have an equivalent audience to swap and do this for each other, then just offer them 50% of the sales that come from whatever. So you could just do like what I'm doing a live right now in my Facebook group and on YouTube and stuff, and do it with the person. So like if I had a good friend and I thought that my people would love them and I wanted to give them a leg up, or I wanted the affiliate commissions, I could invite them to my Facebook group and let them go live, or go live with them, letting them teach and build that connection with my audience, offer their own freebie so that they get on their email list and get into their sales process. So it wouldn't even have to be a direct pitch. It could just be a value, like value training. Here's my freebie, which is a lead magnet, and get going. Okay. So you can do it in a very simplified way. But again, you need your systems. Go to convertpoint.io if you don't have your systems figured out, because you got to get your lead magnet funnel and everything set. But keep it simple. Dang it, I got to do a speaker training, but let's talk. So proud of you and Todd. Oh, thanks, Sean. Thank you. Oh, sweet. Okay. So yes, JVs can be big. You can do like the webinar thing, or you can keep it really casual and simple and just swap promotional stuff like in each other's groups or YouTube channels or Instagram or something, or offer them a cut of the commission if you don't have an equal size audience. Does that make sense? I mean, I know I'm not laying out like step by step, but I hope you're getting the gist of what to do, right? This requires you to network. You're going to have to connect with people in your audience, in your industry. Okay. So start connecting with people in your industry. Kevin, yes. Okay. So type in guest if you want to apply for our podcast, because it's going to be awesome. And then number 5. All right. So number 5, this is pretty cool, is you can, so people like us, okay, let me back up. People like us, people who are making sales all the time, who drive a lot of traffic, who have a significant business already. Let's say that you could benefit their clients with what you offer. You find someone who's making a lot of sales, driving a lot of traffic, and you're like, hey, they do really good teaching this thing, but they don't teach this thing that I teach, and I think it would really help their clients. Connect with them, offer them a free training for them and for their clients. Get this, okay? Someone who would complement your clients, you would let them in, you'd let them do a free module or lesson teaching something valuable to your clients. They get exposure. Your clients now know who they are and think they have authority and value. And maybe they can offer a lead magnet so they can join their list. So think about that, right? Think about that. I've done we did something recently. I forget what it was, but we reached out to several of our friends and we asked several of our marketing friends and like, hey, do you want to do a guest training inside this thing we're selling? And they were like, heck yeah. Yeah. Free training. Okay. So they didn't get paid anything by us. They gave us the training, like full rights to it and everything. It's inside of something that we sell. But the reason that they want to do that is because they get exposed to our audience. They get an opportunity to offer a lead magnet in that training. Isn't that cool? Just giving away your stuff. Make a little mini course that's really valuable, that gives really good information. Connect with someone who's already driving a ton of traffic, who's already doing all this stuff, and offer it to them for free. Now, if they've never heard of you before, you might have a time. But if you follow them, like imagine y'all who show up every single week in my Facebook group, I kind of start to get to know you, right? Or if you've bought something from them before and you've interacted with them as a client, that's a really good one. So, like, if you've bought something from a coach who's very successful, and you think that you could offer something that would help their audience, their clients, but doesn't compete, oh, totally reach out to them and see if you could do this. If they'd let you give like a free little training that they could put package into their offer to get in front of more people. Brilliant, says D. Yeah. So it's super, super easy. You could totally do that. But again, all of these things rely on networking, connecting with humans. If you're going to borrow someone's audience, you're going to have to connect with someone to do that. So I highly, highly suggest. Okay. Offering a free training / module is an awesome strategy. It totally is. And Colin, like, I mean, I think that's probably how we got connected ages ago, is because we were members of a community that we were able to donate free training. We donated our training to, and we got exposure in doing so. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So network equals net worth, 100%. Okay. So if y'all haven't done it yet, if you're on LinkedIn or YouTube, you have the link. Go to the description on this video and just apply as a guest. If you are on anywhere on Facebook, type in guest. Type in guest in the comments, and I will send you a message in Messenger with the application, the link to the application, so you can apply to be on our podcast. And no, not everybody's going to be accepted, but I will talk to everybody thoroughly. So we will have a good time. But yes, it's going to be super cool, and we're going to promote it to all of our platforms. So you're going to love it. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So type in guest. I will send that over to y'all. Every Monday, 7 Eastern, I'm here. So be here. I say be there or be square, but it's be here or be square. That doesn't quite work. All right. So every Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern, guys, make sure you are in the group. And that's where all the cool people are. I mean, I appreciate y'all everywhere else, but join the group. Because that's where the good stuff is. We will see you guys next Monday, and I will talk to y'all who are applying. I'm doing the calls myself. So we'll do a little screening call to see if we make sense for the podcast. All right. Have a blessed night. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.